So, have you ever heard the butterfly effect? That means when a butterfly flies in Brazil, that makes tornado occurs in Texas. What? Hear me out. The butterfly in Brazil flies and the baby deers notice that and get interested in and jump around, and the lion noticed that and chased him, and then the huge group of deers notice that lions are approaching them and get panicked and running away, and that makes wind and it goes to the sea, and there the updraft occurs and it goes to the Texas and tornado occurs. This term is used in meteorology to explain a small single phenomenon makes a lot of things happen and it changing to a huge problem. In our everyday life, the same thing happens, like one small decision makes the whole life different, yeah? So I think how you spend a single minute might change your life or get some, influence, but I have to stop talking about like those deers, lions, butterflies. This channel is not an animal planet. This is about filmmaking, cameras, lenses, and making short films, vlogs, those stuffs. And I know there is a lot of people who want to learn about the cameras and lenses and editing and shooting. I am nothing, I'm nothing, but at least I know how to express what's in my mind by gears, knowledges, and skills. So in this new series, Info Minute, I will share my wisdoms and skills for filmmaking, like making short films, vlogs, and YouTube videos. But today, first episode will be over 4 minutes because I had to talk about butterfly effects, deers, lions, stuff, to get to the conclusion. Yeah. Okay, so today what I'm going to talk about is how to choose a perfect lens for your videos. Especially I'm going to focus on making short films and vlog stuffs here. There are many lenses out there, like from 14mm to 400mm or even more. And especially in Sony E mount, if you talk about just 50mm, there is a Sony Sigma, Tamron, Zeiss, a lot of them. But it's really hard to try everything. So that's why I'm doing those lens reviews. But anyway, today, I think I'm going to go over focal length. It's really long trip from 14mm to 400mm, even more, but I separate those into 5 categories. From 14 to 20mm super wide angle, from 20 to 35mm wide, 35 to 55mm standard, and 55 to 100mm middle telephoto. I don't even know if that is the right word, and 100 to 400 and even more telephoto. And I will explain how each focal length affects the scene, what kind of effect they give you and your audience, and when to use. And also I will introduce my best and budget lenses for each focal length. So first thing is super wide. The biggest pros of this focal length is that it can capture really wide, powerful, big image. This is really useful when you want to capture a lot of information in the frame, or when you want to express the dynamic of nature or the city. For example, this scene of my film, I shot it with around 60mm. We can feel the dynamic of that mountain. The image is really wide, so the huge mountain can fit in the frame. That makes this image so powerful. Also, like this vlogging scene, you don't need that much of distance to make the image wide. For me, super wide angle is set the camera and hit the record and don't worry about the frame lens. So my best choice of this focal length is Sony 16-35mm f2.8 G Master, and budget one is Tamron 17-28mm f2.8. Honestly, for super wide, I think zoom lens is more easier to handle than a prime lens. Let it have that focal length range a little. Okay, next one is wide from 20mm to 35mm. Around this focal length is probably the one you use most. It's really like go-to focal length. The pros of this focal length is it's so handy to use. For example, I shot this cinematic sequence with only 24mm. It's wide, but not too much. Depending on how you shoot it, it can be normal. The image is not curved. While super wide angle is like an obvious super wide angle, the wide is just, normal, very natural. So again, like this scene, when you want to shoot some cinematic stuffs inside of a house where you don't have a big space, this wide angle works really well. So my best lens choice is Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master, and budget one is Sony 20mm f1.8 G lens. So next, standard. So this standard focal length from 35 to 55mm is also go-to focal length. But the different pros from wide angle is that it can capture the very natural perspective, which is really close to, what we see through our eyes, and it can capture more tighter scene, you know what I mean? So in this film, I used only 55mm. It's not too wide and not too narrow. The perspective is really natural, but as you can see, it generates more bokeh. And the image is really tight in a more cinematic feels. This standard focal length stands at the good balance. When you want the scene look natural, but with bokeh and cinematic feels, I recommend this standard focal length. So my best lens choice is Sigma 24-70mm f2.8 Art, and the budget one is Tamron 28-75mm f2.8 G2. It feels introducing those lenses is cheating, kinda, but they cover this standard focal length and also wide, and besides, the lens itself is really good. So, I wanted to introduce them here. So next is middle telephoto. I don't even know that's the right word, but from 55mm to 100mm, let me just call them like middle telephoto. The biggest plus of this focal length is the image becomes cinematic most with them. I shot this B-roll with only 85mm. The image is definitely tight with a melting bokeh at background, but not going so far. Still look very natural, but absolutely more narrower than standard. And as you can see, it seems perfect for portrait and the highlight scene of a film. So when you want to emphasize the object or when you want really good bokeh, this middle telephoto works really well. My best choice for this is Sony 85mm f1.4 G Master, and budget one is Sony 85mm f1.8. I really recommend that you have a prime lens for this roll, like 85mm or 55mm, whatever you like. Using it for the iconic scene of your videos, that's gonna make them more juicier. So the last one is from 100mm to 400mm, which is my best favorite focal length. The biggest pros of this focal length is that it can read to the object which you cannot physically. In both of nature and city, your sight can be extended, which allows you to capture things so far. And it will give the compression feel, which means you can make an object and background closer, and that generates this kind of like a heavy, massive image. Like this scene, shoot the object from a far position and use something like a 400mm. Then you can express a isolated last man on this planet feel. I really like these vibes. If you use this kind of telephoto shot at the beginning of the story, that will be a huge and strong hook. My best choice is Sony 100-400mm G Master, and the budget one is Tamron 70-180mm f2.8. Okay, that's it. I hope this 4 minutes helped you somehow. So the butterfly effect, just remember it. But because of that, this first episode is now like 7 or 8 minutes. I don't know, just sorry about that. From next time, I will do exact within 4 minutes. So like this, in this new series, I will be talking about wisdoms and skills of filmmaking. Of course, I'm always open for your request. Your question might help others. So comment below. Okay, this is it. If you have any question, thought, request, don't hesitate to leave the comment below. So today's video is pretty much it, and thank you for watching this video. If you like this one, show me a thumb and hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
I'ma have you on tiptoes, watching my time and afterglow. I know you